I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Supervisor Moore,
Present.
Councilwoman McNamara. Here. Councilman Iacili.
Here.
Councilman Pell.
Present today.
Councilman Spillane is not with us. Okay.
Okay, well, we'll start the meeting today with our agenda review. And so we're going to have, let's see, how many? 8 public hearings. The first is on the 2025 fire protection contracts. The second is on a new town code entitled Smoking Prohibited and Designated Smoking Areas, to include additional non-smoking areas being within 30 feet in any direction and within public transportation vestibules and or shelters, including those designated for pickup drop-off areas at facilities that are open to the public. The third is a public hearing to amend the zoning chapter 330-346 to update the correlated color temperature standards to align with new lighting technology. The fourth public hearing is to consider adoption of the annual CPF pilot payment plan for 2024-2025 tax year. The fifth public hearing is to consider the acquisition of a conservation easement and restrictive use easement for the properties located at 210 Clay Pit Road, 1215 and 1355 Bridgehampton, Sag Harbor Turnpike, and CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property. The sixth public hearing will be to authorize the acquisition of 1195 and 1253 Noyak Path in the hamlet of Bridgehampton, New York, and to amend the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property. The seventh public hearing will be to authorize the acquisition of fee title for property located at 15 Lewis Road and acquisition of enhanced development rights of the properties located at 17 and 19 Lewis Road, East Quogue, and to amend the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the properties. And the eighth public hearing will be to consider the acquisition of the property located at 133 West Montauk Highway in Hampton Bays, New York. Okay, let's get started.
I'll read Tommy
You'll read
John's.
Tommy John's?
Yeah, I'm
Good,
co-sponsor
thank you.
to this. So this is Town Board Resolution 2024-1201, authorizing the supervisor to sign a letter of intent to become a New York State pro-housing community.
Are you going to read all of Tommy John's?
You're co-sponsor to this though, so do you want to take that?
It's easier.
Okay, I'll just do it. Okay, Town Board Resolution 48206, accept authorize the supervisor to execute any and all documents for the NYSERDA Clean Energy Community Program points-based grant for the purchase and installation of solar panels on the Flanders Community Center.
Sunday, I'd like to be added to that.
Certainly.
Myself too, please.
Myself too, please.
No match required. Nice. Oh, wait a minute. Cindy, I noticed a typo in,
Where?
1, 2, 3. Well, on page 6, in the second whereas clause, where it says the proposal was prepared, the word by is missing in the second sentence of the second whereas clause at the end of the line. You see it?
On the third line?
The second line where it says, and has an engineering proposal prepared
Okay, bye.
by, yeah,
Okay.
thanks. Okay, Town Board Resolution ID number 48200 to adopt the amended procurement policy for 2024 and 2025, which is a big deal. It's been many years since we've done that. And Tatiana will be here to talk to us about it if we need it. There is one change, just a very small tweak, but on page. Oh my gosh, I don't think I brought it in. It was on the change orders. Can someone find that? Oh, here it is, oh, change orders.
Okay.
Yeah,
What page are you on?
not sure how to,
24?
yeah, on page 25 on the change orders. The fourth paragraph, that's,
Parentheses with no.
yeah,
parentheses
no, the one
no
with the,
letters.
I know the letters are missing.
Okay, I
That
see-
could have just been the way it was copied, I'm
I
not
see
sure.
another one on page 24, a parentheses. blue
Yeah,
and
that's, it might just be the way it was run through the copier, I don't know. But,
Well,
That kind of stuff can get
It
corrected.
starts at B
Yeah,
though,
that can
so
be
there should be an A.
yeah,
But those kind of things we can clean up after the fact, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
but I was just talking about on page 25, the letter B, and it sets forth the standard where anything over these amounts has to be authorized by the town board with a resolution for a change order. And it says two standards, one is 10% or more, or the other is over 50,000, but I believe it needs to say whichever is less. So, because, you know, if it's,
You want it to be whichever is less. Right?
yeah, because
You
if
want to have
it's,
that control.
yeah, if it's a contract for $2 million, then they could actually get a change order for 200,000 without any board
Yeah, you
approval.
want to have control
Yeah.
over anything over 50,000.
So I mentioned it to her, and she said she would.
Is she gonna provide me with language that you've approved for this change?
I
can
think it
check
should
with
just
Paul.
go
There's
at the
parentheses
end of the
throughout this whole
second.
document too, so I'll ask her to fix all those.
So Jim, at the end of the second line on letter B, where it says, or the increase amount is 50,000 or more, the original contract, comma, whichever is less,
Whichever is less. Yeah, we can put it right there.
that would fix it if we just put it there. So letter B,
Okay,
Yeah.
could you just read that to me one more time, please?
Yep. the second line, at the very end of the second line of letter B, that ends with the word contract, comma,
Thank you.
just whichever is less. Okay, all right, okay. So. Town Board Resolution ID, I mean, if everybody understands that, right?
Yes.
Okay, Town Board Resolution ID number 48156 to authorize the purchase of snow plow and spreader parts from Suffolk County contract with Trias Inc. Town Board Resolution ID number 48181, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, to authorize the purchases of Tesla electric vehicles from Tesla Inc.
This is Council Member Schiavone's bill, Town Board Resolution 48193, co-sponsored by yours truly. Authorize supervisor to issue a satisfaction of a buyer benefit note and mortgage on a community benefit unit.
Town Board Resolution ID 48164, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone. Authorize supervisor to sign a contract extension with York Analytical Laboratories, Inc. to provide water analysis to the Hampton Bays Water District.
Town Board Resolution ID number 48203, co-sponsored with Councilman Pell, to authorize the supervisor to sign an amended contract with BBS Architects, Landscape Architects and Engineers, PC.
Okay, I'll read also the great Councilman Schiavone, Town Board Resolution 48169, co-sponsored with Councilwoman McNamara. Authorize supervisor to sign contract with Lyro Engineers, Inc. for professional services related to pre-demolition asbestos inspections for 20 South Valley Road, Hampton Bays, and 33 Peconic Trail, Flanders.
Town Board Resolution ID number 48166, co-sponsored by Council Members Iacilli and Scavone, to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Nelson and Pope for professional services related to the solar photovoltaic feasibility study of 7 town facilities.
Town Board Resolution 48178, also sponsored by Scavone and Cindy McNamara. Authorize supervisor to sign contract with Rayner Group PE and LS PLLC to provide professional engineer design service for the new sanitary system at Proxima Golf Center.
Cindy, I'd like to be added to that, please.
Sure.
Town Board Resolution 48133, also co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, to authorize supplement funding for Whisperfield Court Farm runoff remedy for the WQIP project for the 2024 Water Quality Fund.
I'd like to be added to that one too, please.
Absolutely.
Town Board Resolution ID number 48145, co-sponsored by Councilman Powell, to authorize the purchase of heavy equipment, parts, accessories, supplies, and related services from Omnia Partners contract with Caterpillar. Town Board Resolution ID number 48168, to authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with Advantage Title as it relates to title search services for the Fire Island Inlet to Montauk Point project.
Town Board Resolution 48179, authorize supervisor to execute a no-cost contract extension with LK McLean Associate Engineer and Survey DPC for engineer design and permitted service at Bay Avenue East, Hampton Bays. Town Board Resolution 48180, authorize supervisor to execute a no-cost contract extension with LK McLean Associate Engineer and Survey DPC for engineer design and permit service for shoreline stabilization at North Sea Road in Southampton. Town Board Resolution 48182, authorize supervisor to execute a no-cost contract extended with LK McLean Associate Engineer and Survey DPC, provide engineer and technical service association with the town, FEMA Advanced Assistance Funding for a feasible study for material to support the grant application for FEMA Hazardous Migrate Grant Program, HMGP for Dune Road. Town Board Resolution 48183, authorize supervisor to execute a no-cost contract extension with LK McLean Associate Engineer and Survey DPC to provide engineering design, permit, and construction support service for the replacement of Job Lane Bridge in Bridgehampton.
Town Board Resolution ID number 48051, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, to authorize the supervisor to execute a no-cost extension of term of contract for the traffic engineering review services of the traffic analysis for the site plan application of Hampton Business District Phase 5-245 Rogers Way with LK McLean Associates.
Town Board Resolution ID 48167, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with Young Associates for a survey for LJ Limited located at 1065 Millstone Road, Noya.
Town Board Resolution 48185, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, authorized the supervisor to sign a contract with Johnson Control Security Solutions for alarm system monitoring and maintenance at Tiana Life Saving Station, 70 Dune Road, Hampton Bays. And then we have another resolution of Councilman Tommy John Scavone, ID number 48165, authorizing the supervisor to sign a master services agreement with Forerunner Technologies.
Town Board Resolution ID number 48186, co-sponsored with Councilmember Iacilli, to authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with Briscoe Protective. Briscoe
Yep.
Protective,
Uh-oh.
not services, LLC for fire alarm monitoring at Red Barn, 6 Newtown Road, Hampton Bays, New York.
Town Board Resolution ID number 48205, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, authorized the supervisor to submit the U.S. Department of Energy Clean Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant.
Town Board Resolution 48111, award and authorize supervisor to sign contract for Bay Drive bulkhead rehabilitation with Chesterfield Association, Inc.
Town Board Resolution ID number 47985, co-sponsored by council members Pell and McNamara, to award and authorize the supervisor to execute a contract for heavy-duty truck parts, Class 5-8 trucks. And Town Board Resolution ID number 48202, designating a master list of qualified professional service providers. This is the first time we've done that too. Goes hand in hand, I think, with the revisions to the procurement policy. Town Board Resolution ID number 48171, to recall and amend Town Board Resolution 2024-1296, to authorize the supervisor to extend a professional services agreement with Leonard J. Marchese, MBA, CPA. It's just reflecting a difference in the cost centers.
Town Board Resolution 48204, recall and amend Town Board Resolution 2024-933, authorize supervisor to sign a contract with L.K. McLean Association Engineer and Survey DPC for professional engineer design permitted service for Bay Drive, Hampton Bays bulkhead replacement.
Town Board Resolution ID 48114, co-sponsored
Didn't you
by
have
Councilman
changes?
Schiavone.
I'm sorry, didn't you have changes for that
Yes.
resolution?
I'm sorry.
Yes. On the third paragraph, at the end, it says now therefore be it. And on the next one, it says remove the fourth whereas.
Which one are we looking at? I'm sorry.
On the, that,
I think that it was repeating.
48204
What?
resolution.
Bill, you could just give that to Sunday, right?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
hand it down. Thank you. Cleaning it up.
Town Board Resolution ID 48114, co-sponsored Councilman Schiavone, 2025 notice to bidders for printing and mailing of Hampton Bays Water District bills.
Town Board Resolution ID number 48159. Okay, and this, I think we should combine this with the other one related to this property that's on page 86, because this one is to amend the 2024 adopted budget for the purchase of real property located at 133 West Montauk Highway, Hampton Bays. But, you know, the one on page 86 is to authorize the purchase,
I
but
think
we
you
don't
have-
know if we're
I think
gonna.
You have to amend the budget before you purchase.
Yeah, we have to amend the budget before we purchase, but why would we amend the budget before we know we're gonna purchase? So maybe they can be combined in one resolution. Yeah, I'll ask her. Okay.
If you weren't gonna buy it, you wouldn't do either resolution.
Right, but if the resolution says we're gonna buy it and we're gonna amend the code and amend the budget in order to do it, and then if the resolution fails, then we don't do either one.
Well, then this would fail. Nobody would amend the budget. If they don't amend the budget, then you can't buy it. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah. I don't know. All right, just made more sense to me to combine it, but if she doesn't think so, we'll just leave it. Town Board Resolution ID number 48207, to amend the 2024 adopted budget for transportation and traffic safety. Town Board Resolution ID number 48191, to amend the 2024 budget for various departments.
Town Board Resolution ID number 48175, authorize funding for Dark Skies Advisory Committee.
So we don't read this one.
Town Board Resolution 47976, this is a resolution of Councilmember Schiavone, as well as co-sponsored with Councilwoman McNamara. Consider the adoption of the annual CPF pilot payment plan, 2024 to 25 tax year, annual CPF pilot payment plan for the 24 to 25 tax year. I'd like to actually be added to this Sunday.
Myself too, please.
Yeah, me as well. That's always a good thing to do. Town Board Resolution ID number 48163, to schedule the special election for March 4th, 2025.
Town Board Resolution 47875, resolution to adopt and amend Chapter 90 entitled Smoking Prohibited and design non-smoking areas to include addition non-smoking areas being within 30 feet in any direction within public transportation accessibility, and or shelters include those designed for pickup and drop-off areas and faculties that are open to the public.
I'd like to be added to that, if you don't mind, Bill.
Yeah, me as well. I think I'd like that too. I'm going to ask that it looks like in the legislative intent, in the definitions it includes cannabis, but in the legislative intent it doesn't, and maybe that's because this was passed before the cannabis laws. So I just think that in
I'm going to add that to it.
yeah, just to that list of smoking of cigarettes, but I think that could qualify as a Scrivener's error. So, right, we wouldn't have to renotice just to add that one. It's already in the, in the definitions it says marijuana, not.
We can discuss it at the hearing.
Oh, okay, all right.
I think that's a good suggestion.
Yes, I think it was just an oversight of the, and that's,
I think it was done intentionally because we just did a smoking prohibited designation, because anywhere you can smoke cigarettes, you can also smoke marijuana, which is why we amended this law to begin with.
yeah. But it's, okay, we can talk about it at the thing.
Town Board Resolution ID number 48184, co-sponsored with Councilman Pell. Notice of adoption to amend zoning chapter 330-346, non-residential lighting standards to update the correlated color temperature standard to align with new lighting technology.
Town Board Resolution 48158, also co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, authorized funding for rebates for IA septic system for extended circumstance for the 2024 Community Preservation Fund septic rebate monies.
I'd like to be added to this.
Just on that prior discussion, it was pointed out that in the definition of smoke, we do include marijuana.
Right, so why leave it out of the legislative intent
Because then
when you list all the other ones up there?
then you have to add herbal cigarettes, tobacco, pipe tobacco. I mean, it's just, it's,
I don't know, it seems like it's just, pretty, it says smoking of cigarettes, electronic smoking devices, vape pens, cigars, pipes, and other similar, so why not add the
I don't see the
marijuana
issue of
one?
including marijuana in there, given that it's, that's been a topic of concern lately.
It's
When it's-
clearly, the intent was included because it's in the definition of smoke.
Yeah, it's in the definitions.
Town Board Resolution ID 48135, co-sponsored with Councilman Iacilli, waive showmobile and bathroom trailer fee for East Quogue Fire Department holiday on main event.
And this is Councilman Scavone's bill. Town Board Resolution 48197, release of maintenance bond in connection with the site plan of PC Richard and Son.
I actually spoke to Councilman Scavone about this Sunday. He agreed that I can replace him as the lead sponsor. He was the lead sponsor by default. I actually worked on this with Janice Scheer to get this released, so
So what
I'm
you,
replacing Councilman
You
Scavone
want-
as the lead sponsor. I cleared it with him. Oh, you want him to tell you? Okay.
but does he come off completely or does he
Yes.
stay on till the
Yes,
end
he
of the year?
comes off. I'm sponsoring this. He was just put on because he's the liaison to plan.
Okay,
so.
if you would just ask
Yep.
him to tell me directly
I'll
that.
I'll
Email is
include him
fine.
in an email.
Thank you.
Town Board Resolution ID number 48110 to appoint Colleen Tui Jones to website manager in the Citizens Response Center.
Congratulations.
Town Board Resolution ID number 48190 to appoint Kathleen Powers Vermeulen to graphic supervisor in the Citizens Response Center. Town Board Resolution ID number 48142 to appoint Daryl Ballmer to Assistant Town Parks Director position from Civil Service list.
All right, Could I be
Congratulations.
added to
Hooray.
that, please, Sunday?
Yes. Certainly.
All things work out.
Yeah, God.
Town Board Resolution ID number 47920 to appoint Police Officer Connor Spencer, starting. Town Board Resolution ID number 47914 to appoint Police Officer Maxwell Yardley to the Academy. Town Board Resolution ID number 48170 to appoint Salvatore Gerbino to Fire Marshal 1 position in Community Preservation. And Town Board Resolution ID number 48130, co-sponsored by the entire board, which is a notice of public hearing for funding for water quality improvement project for Suffolk County Water Authority Water Main Extensions Project at Old Country Road in the hamlet of West Hampton. And it's scheduled for December 10th. Town Board Resolution ID number 48196, co-sponsored by Council Members Scavone and Pell, which is a notice of public hearing for the water quality improvement project requested by the Town of Southampton Highway Department for stormwater remediation for Long Neck Boulevard in Flanders. December 10th. And Town Board Resolution ID number 48188, co-sponsored by the entire board, to schedule for a notice of public hearing on the acquisition of 59 Montauk Highway in the hamlet of West Hampton, and to amend the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property. And Town Board Resolution ID number 48013, co-sponsored with Councilmembers Iacilli and Pell, to authorize the purchase of real property located at 133 West Montauk Highway in Hampton Bays. And there's no add-ons, believe it or not. So, all right, so that brings us to the next portion of the work session, which is a change of zone update on Monte Calvo, Clay Pit Road, Spionk. And we have Janice Shear, our Town Planning and Development Administrator, with
Good
us,
morning.
and
I'm
others.
joined by, the applicant, Mr. John Montecalvo, and his legal representative, Elizabeth Bell. And David Gilmore. Yes, sorry, I didn't realize you were here. Teresa's gonna hand out, has given the draft report to the clerk to hand
Have a
out.
seat, John. How are you?
We all have it.
I did
Good.
send it to you on email, so you have
Yes, we
a
need it.
printed copy.
Clean everything up.
So this is our second work session related to this matter, where the last time we talked about it, there was,
Thank you.
some conversation about, well, what about these other parcels? And how about the junkyard, and like, how's that all gonna work out? The application is materially the same, there's no change there, they haven't really addressed those questions, but it's best talked about here, because I don't know what you wanna do about those parcels if they're not asking you to do anything about them, do you know what I mean? There was some conversation about maybe some preservation, Councilman Scavone had mentioned. I don't know that Mr. Montecalvo is willing to commit to that at this point, but the fact is, this is still a pending question. They've expanded the asphalt operations. They're asking for a zone change to encompass the parcel, at least you can see it here, that has the asphalt operation expanded onto it. And then the additional parcels above it that are outlined in red. So for a total of five parcels?
Yes, 5 parcels totaling 40 acres
Okay.
of property.
So everybody have everything, their stuff. So I guess I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. So, we were here in August, we introduced it. This is going to encompass 5 properties that Mr. Montecalvo owns. The first is 1089 Spionk Riverhead Road, comprised of 7.7 acres. The next is 1129 Spionk Riverhead Road, that's 9.8 acres. 1169 Spionk Riverhead Road, which is 9.2 acres, and then 2 other contiguous properties which are along Clay Pit Road here. And these constitute, I think, let me just see, an additional 13 acres. So the total is 40 acres of property that we're seeking to extend the LI 40 zoning from the south up to and including these 5 acres that Mr. Montecalvo owns. Okay, ultimately there is a concept plan we gave to the town board. Just again, it's a concept plan. We're seeking LI 40 zoning because we're trying to develop these for special trade contractor uses. And the concept plan, we've shown you before, sorry David, has all of these 4 buildings here for special trade contractor uses. And it actually proposes to preserve or revegetate almost 75% of the property. And then 25% would actually just be developed with the buildings. And that's because we're in the Pine Barren, the growth area, the core preservation area, and this aquifer protection overlay district as well.
And I'm
Could
sorry,
you
which
repeat
property
that?
specifically is that referring to?
Which one?
The one that you just said that's going to
There's no
preserve
core
75?
here.
Not core, but we're in the
Compatible
compatible
growth.
growth area, sorry.
Okay.
We're in the Pine Barren compatible growth area, so we have clearing restrictions for that, and then we have clearing restrictions for aquifer protection overlay as well, so ultimately, we're only gonna develop here, and then this would be revegetated along with this.
Is there a open space component of this parcel I thought you said last time? There was
Yes.
something, okay.
Those two,
This here?
yes, those two are gonna be preserved.
Okay.
These two would remain natural,
This would be, okay.
yes.
And that's part of the
Yeah,
application?
those 2 lots along Clay Pit Road, they're triangular.
So that's 13 acres.
Correct, those are the 13 acres, those are entirely preserved as part of this application. And again, last time we introduced the surrounding industrial uses in the area as to why we think this is an excellent, proposal for the town to change the zoning. It's surrounded by sand mines, it's next to a junkyard, the asphalt plant is to the south, South Fork Mason is to the east, and then we also have further south in the LI 40 zoning area is the former BB&S Superfund site that was contaminated along with the Skion solvent plume. The tip of that is to the south as well. All of that leading to the conclusion that residential development in this area is probably not a great idea. So,
I would just want to make one quick caveat that like my report and what we're talking about is just for the proposal, and I don't know that we're recommending that. Last time there was conversation like why not just go all the way to Sunrise with the LI. I at this time am not recommending that this be changed. This be part of this proposal as changed to LI 40.
and it's not part of the proposal.
It's not part of the proposal, but we were thinking comprehensively. Maybe the junkyard, that's not also part of this, but it's adjacent to it. But just in terms of looking at this,
So
I wouldn't want to
Yeah, they would need
create
that.
an industrial sprawl either. So
It's
this
for-
is nice because it's concentrating it and leaving a lot of open space. But these parcels to the north, I would not recommend rezoning to
I think that's
LI 40.
35 additional acres, right, Mr. Montecalvo?
35.
Yeah, to the north. And that, again, that's not included.
Did you say it's about 40 acres total?
This proposal is 40 acres total.
And you're preserving 13 or more than that?
More than 13. Ultimately, it's gonna be 75% of the site. It's right here on my map. Give me a second. So it's going to be preserved. Let's see, 75.86% of the site, or 30.8 acres, will be either remain natural or be revegetated as part of this application.
In total
In
of
total,
the, okay.
of the 40 acre
Okay, I just
site.
wanted
So
to clarify
30
that.
acres,
Yeah.
which is significant.
38 of the 40
30.
acres?
30.
30.8,
Oh,
sorry.
30 point, I was gonna say, well, you know.
Or 75.86%.
And so that'll be, what part?
Either remain natural
Of
or, and see this, the orientation of this is a little odd, sorry. I guess it really should go this way according to the aerial, right, Janice? Is that right?
Yep, that's
Okay.
correct.
So when you look at it this way, these are the properties that'll be entirely preserved,
That's this here,
Mhm.
okay?
south of the junkyard.
And then all of this area will be preserved or revegetated to remain natural, which in total constitutes the 30 acres out of the 40 total.
So like, essentially, sorry, forgive me. So essentially like this, it's cutting through, that will be preserved.
Yeah, our map shows it a little easier, but
Yeah.
you can see how
Because
the
there's two
buildings
properties
are
on the right,
clustered.
so I'm just
Yeah.
trying to, okay.
The development is clustered.
The development's clustered to the south, so the question is
Just this alone.
where this is now
Yeah,
is where buildings will be.
Yeah, it's to the right.
Yes.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
This is Clay Pit Road here.
That's a paper.
So this is part of
Yes,
it.
and goes here,
That's
see,
what's
yeah,
right.
that's this room. Okay.
Just for clarification, on the aerial, it's right here. The northerlymost building straddles this property line, and then the buildings would be here, and then one here, and then part of this would be naturally vegetated, and all of that would be preserved.
And Mr. Montecalvo, can you just review the needs that you have while you are looking to expand for these two?
Well,
parcels? Just for
basically, the customers that come into the plant are the ones that would probably be in the contractor buildings. Also plumbers, local electricians, etc. Because I'm constantly getting calls from people that are looking for space. The other problem that I have is the reason why we encroached on the property already is that material is mainly all of Southampton's material.
Yeah.
It's material that I milled off of Southampton town roads. And I'm running out of space. We're probably the biggest recyclers in the town of Southampton.
Okay.
But I need room to do
Right,
that.
right.
You also use some of this recycled blacktop, you use it to make new blacktop with.
Positively.
Yeah. A percent of it, so it's worth keeping
Right.
for the future.
So the asphalt plant itself, if I could ask this, is not being expanded beyond what it is today?
No, the asphalt plant is remaining on the property that it's on. What I would need on this property is basically material storage and some machines to recycle.
And can that material storage be indoor or it's all outdoor?
No, it's all out.
It's all outdoor. And is there a way to organize it and like,
It is organized.
it's
yeah.
organized? It's hard to tell from the
Yeah.
aerial.
Yeah, no, it's separated, it's organized.
Okay.
And it's all asphalt.
Oh, okay,
No.
that's why it can't be inside.
You know, just to clarify for people watching, the only thing you're recycling is the blacktop.
Correct, 100%. No C&D, nothing like that, no concrete, strictly asphalt.
So you can reuse it in your new blacktop.
Yes.
So we went through the standards last time. The rezoning would be consistent with the industrial character of the surrounding area. It's a logical and natural extension of the LI 40 zoning to the south. And because of the surrounding industrial uses, the rezoning would not be a detriment to any surrounding property owners or the general public. It's also consistent, we believe, with the comprehensive plan and planning studies for the area. And it's supported by the Long Ranch Planning Department, and the report goes through pretty thoroughly, why it would be appropriate for the site.
Well, to be clear, we do also say there needs to be traffic analysis of, the addition.
Right, as
any-
part of secret.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so it's definitively, we're saying, we're recommending you take a look at it, but
Good.
definitively it's not assured only because you want to see, the traffic analysis.
Yeah.
And of course, there's also safeguards of, subsequent planning review, right? Like even though we have a concept plan, it has to go through the secret process and determine whether that's something that would be acceptable pursuant to secret, and then site plan review in front of the planning board.
So that goes to the
And
planning
to the
board.
Pine Barrens, we have to go as well, so.
Yeah, like they would have to delineate that they can have, this may also involve ZBA more than 115,000, the size of the buildings, they're like
We have to make sure
aggregating
it
them.
complies with zoning or get the
Yeah.
requisite variances for sure.
Yeah, I think that would still involve a ZBA action, but they would show like, look, this could be subdivided in multiple lots, and each one of these lots could have 15,000, but we're only, instead we're putting two together as a 30. That whole thing takes place in front of the zoning board of appeals. Even in the compliance zone, they have to do that.
And you'd wanna cluster it, you wouldn't want
We
them
do
to
want
be
to
spread
cluster
out.
it.
Yeah.
This is important, and that's what I'm saying to the north, to Sunrise Highway. I don't think the Pine Barrens would like that either, like getting that involved, because that's just not being used. Here you're clustering it away from all of that and leaving a lot of open space, which is good.
And there is precedent for that idea of cluster. And get here.
Across the street has that. What kind of septic system would you have in it? Have you got that far yet?
We haven't gone that far.
But we will comply with the health department
Yeah.
requirements.
I've asked all my questions.
What would be the next steps for
Well, the board has to elect to consider it.
Right.
So we would need that to happen before you can proceed. So that is the next step. The report's here, your here for your second work session because they asked you to come back. Now it comes down to if you have further questions or further information elect to consider if you do go in that direction. In that process, then we would have all the secra and the analysis and coordinating. We have to coordinate with the Pine Barrens. We have to make sure they're compliant with the new regulations that have been enacted. You know, all that. It's still a long road ahead.
So,
Yes,
so
no
just
pun
to
intended.
just to clarify, if this were elected to consider, this would have to go through the planning board
Oh, yes.
for the
site
entirety
plan.
of the site plan
Yes,
and the
always.
traffic. Okay.
Well, it
Still
goes
come
through
to
you
us.
for the
It would
traffic.
come to us, we'd have a
Okay.
scoping session and
Okay.
there'd be public hearings and.
Yep, we'd have
So-
traffic
Traffic
studying,
studies and-
traffic
Just want to
study.
clarify the process.
Right.
You would engage
This
with
just
the
starts the
various boards
process.
who would
Right.
touch it. So like planning board and ZBA
It's
may
like-
have, would have authority here, and so they would be coordinated
Right.
with. In addition, the Pine Barrens Commission, the Health Department, we would coordinate with the ZB, I think I said that. We would coordinate with all those agencies,
It's like the first
DEC,
step.
DEC for for whatever you need permits from them.
But are you saying you're gonna lease out the property to other contractors?
If it's LI 40, the
They would rent.
The buildings would be leased, yes.
Desperate.
Do
it's
they
not
exist
solely
already?
an asphalt.
The buildings don't exist already.
They
You'd
don't
have to build
exist,
them.
yeah, it's vacant.
It's vacant
This is the
property.
conceptual proposal, if you were to rezone it LI 40, he's saying, keep the asphalt business, this would make it conforming, and then add to it these additional
For special
uses,
trade contracts.
which are permitted in that
Yeah,
zone.
which is greatly needed in the town.
Janice, I would support this.
And, would you consider putting solar panels on top of to offset? electricity?
Possibility.
Yeah.
That's
Might
good
be
to know.
Definitely be the way to go.
It's good to know. There's an economic benefit here, I think, and obviously, if we can do that too, there's another benefit there.
Sure.
That's a part of the planning process.
Of course.
Sustainability analysis, we talk about that during that.
Yes. It would be really great if they relook at putting ramps here.
Well, that's
That's all
in the
planning.
report too, that we would like to,
Yeah.
talk to DOT as part of all this and
Yeah,
see
make this
the
like a-
possibility
almost
of
like a
doing
dead-end
something
road
like that.
here.
I mean, it's not hinging upon it, but we should just talk to them anyway, saying, let's look ahead. They program out 5 years, so right now they're programmed for 2030 already. So it's not like this, if you said, let's do this, you're talking about 2040.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not doing something tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, but to talk about this is a nice segue when you're talking about, look, we're allowing these industrial uses. We want to get the traffic off of Old Country Road. We want people just directly access with trucks what they need to do and then get out of here. There's no reason to go on the local roads of Old Country Road.
Well, we
and
have
all
the
that.
college over here also.
Right.
I know the college,
College.
years
But
ago
wait.
when I approached them, they were 100% for the
Yeah.
exit and entrance.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
help
not
them.
here yet, right?
No, I'm saying it's not hinging upon it, but I'm saying this should be a long range effort for the town
Could
to
be addressed
engage
in an
with
updated plan.
With the state.
with the state. It's already in our plans to
Yeah.
say we want this. We're saying, okay, you want to add, if you went ahead with this and you have some more special trade contractors, naturally you'll have more special trade contractor trucks coming here. And what better way to get here than just coming off a ramp straight to the site versus Old Country Road and having to go all the way around.
During the wildfires, they actually opened it up. They made dirt roads there.
Yeah.
Get out.
But in the meantime,
In the
until
meantime, you're
that
going to
ever
be having
happens,
that.
you're gonna get more trucks.
You are, and that's why we're saying you have to do the secret and do the analysis of that truck.
In a perfect world,
impact.
you would have a ramp there.
That's what I'm saying. If we all agree in a perfect world and it's all right there and it could happen, and why not get it on the docket to happen?
It's been before.
But
The
we're
state
talking
has
about
looked at
10
it.
years out. We're not talking about tomorrow.
This isn't in a location that's appropriate for housing, so I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the current zoning there doesn't fit the use.
It was previously zoned LI 40.
Yeah.
Right, right.
And then it changed to residential. So there is that.
When was that?
Like sometimes
Like
if
20
it's
years?
not broken, don't fix it. But there was a lot of 5-acre zoning put in place during the 80s, and that's when this was when that's happened.
Part of the APOD.
Right.
I realize that.
But this would, on its benefits, achieve what we wanted because the goal was to have a lot of recharge and natural vegetation. So that's still doing that even with the LI uses.
Mm.
And as you know, like you're not necessarily getting intensive uses, right? You're getting people having like almost like Mariner Drive, where you've got a place to keep your stuff.
You
Yeah,
leave
and-
for the day, you come back in the evening. It's
Right.
not
It
in
takes
and
it
out.
out of the residential areas, which is a good thing.
It takes out of people's houses
Right.
and stuff like that.
And
Because
you're
of
not
what?
expanding the asphalt plant, you're just
No.
creating storage area.
Correct.
How many years have you been there?
Since 1972.
72. It's a long time.
And then the industrial uses become, then no longer non-conforming, they become conforming, and that's better for financing for other industrial uses here who can expand. Some better uses there too, probably.
Maybe Tommy John could help us with those exit entries.
Might be
Yeah, we
listening.
need a state assemblyman.
Put that on the list.
So do you have any other questions, concerns?
I don't, I think it looks
Okay,
nice.
so potentially the next step, you would see this on a resolution to elect to consider. And then after that, they would be free to submit a formal application, and then we formally would engage in secra analysis and all that stuff.
With the EAF and everything else.
When they submit the formal application, they'll give us a full EAF part 1, we'll do the part 2.
Right.
We expect, a fairly robust analysis. We're talking about the major issues are traffic and air quality, things along those lines.
When we say this will be preserved, does that mean it's be donated to the town CPF, or how
It'll
do we
be-
know it'll always
There'll be a
preserved?
conservation easement probably put on it as part of the planning review.
Okay.
It could be from the Pine Barrens as well, but it'll be definitely from planning. There'll be a any part that's proposed to be.
Something like this, where
Preserved.
it's a parcel, we would like it as deeded open space, personally. I
Okay.
mean, I know the planning board and we've
Yeah, that
really
could be
been
up to-
going in that direction for
That could be the
years.
planning
Yeah.
board's.
It's just like
Or it
something
could
that's
be-
already planned to be
Right.
preserved, just gets deeded open space, but something like this is the
Would be the
conservation.
easement.
Well, the town
Yeah.
actually owns, I think, 300 acres here,
South.
Yeah.
so that would be almost continuous.
It would be
with
great,
Yeah.
a really nice block of
Yeah.
contiguous,
that's-
and that is one of the standards in the planning,
Right.
in the Pine Barrens.
Who actually owns Clay Pit Road?
In the corner, right?
That's a good question.
But it was-
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but it's town.
I thought it was a town road.
Well, I appreciate all the preservation you're
Yeah.
giving.
We try to be good neighbors.
30
We've
acres
been there a
is
long
important.
time and no complaints. So
Mhm.
Great.
Yeah, that would be a continuous block for the town.
Yeah,
Yeah,
except for
that's
this one piece,
The junkyard
here.
piece,
the junkyard and this piece right here.
Yeah, true,
but
That would-
these two would be it,
right. That would still join,
and
yeah.
that he's saying except for that, and
I
that's
think the
not,
county owns this little triangle here.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be a way to get that somehow another bill, and then the town would own everything.
this isn't you though.
No,
Get to
that's,
work on that.
That was Grasso that figured that out.
Okay,
Alright.
gret, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
you
you
very
very
much.
Nice to
And
see
I
you.
wanna thank the planning department for their report as well. Thank you.
Sure.
Very thorough.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Michael, I can't get you.
It's okay? Yeah, thanks.
So he's talking to Tommy John about the offerings.
Oh, yeah, right.
We'll give him a call. We'll give him a call.
Before he gets sworn out.
It's been on the state DOT radar before. I
We-
know that.
We can check with this if
Thank you
it is
for
the
bringing
county, maybe not deed it over to us.
We don't need it.
You know,
They can have us that. It's perfectly fine.
But
Next up, we have our Battery Energy Storage Steering Committee interim report.
Just watch the mics, cause it
Okay.
shows people that are listening, it's all crackling.
We have smaller versions of this in here,
So
just in case we want to talk about it or write on it.
I'm just gonna.
So Seth, just bring it up on the screen and then he's gonna join me back over here. We're lucky that we have the supervisor and Councilwoman McNamara on our steering
Yes.
committee, so you're very versed in what we're about to talk about.
Just
So
pause.
as you know, the steering committee was impaneled by the board in March of 2024. And the goal of this steering committee was to address the moratorium on battery energy storage and look at alternatives to what the code that was held in abeyance, what we could do. So this interim report outlines what the committee looked at, and just briefly we'll talk about the chronology, but truly the meat and potatoes start on page 5 where we're talking about the actual recommendations. But just quickly, we did look at the code, we talked to the state, we had NYSERDA in our meetings, as you know, but for the benefit of anyone listening, we had NYSERDA come, we had PSEG, Gary Stevenson, he was LIPA. LIPA come to our almost every meeting. We had some industry experts kind of come and go or sit in the audience at certain times just to hear what we were saying or to contribute where they could. So we tried to, keep it in a fashion that we were getting a lot of input.
And we had a lot of community input as well.
And then we had different times where we would open it up to the community and they would give feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So we were in this room, it was always on Zoom, and then at certain points we would say, okay, today's the community day, and then they would come and talk.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that format worked well.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first things that I think the committee was looking at was, okay, residential or no residential? Because that was the biggest consternation mostly for everyone, was that these large facilities did not belong in residential zones. And that was one of the first things that we said, what would it look like if we just eliminated them entirely and don't put them in residential zones? Before we even get there, I just want to mention that the other big thing we learned was LIPA is perfectly happy if we only do 5 megawatt systems like East Hampton did. We don't have to accommodate a bazillion megawatt situation. They are more than happy for us to just put 5s in, and that we were surprised at this.
Is 5 considered, what is 5, is that grid scale or?
Yes, anything over 600 kilowatts.
Well,
everything over 1
utility-
megawatt is utility scale. I'm sorry,
Right.
am I saying that?
Well, utility scale really, when you plug into the transmission line.
And we're using utility scale, grid scale synonymously here.
Correct.
Yes?
Yes, I mean, there's,
In terms of interconnect agreement, yes.
right.
So you
How
have
much-
sort of anything over 1 megawatt, which is 1 megawatt would serve 800 homes. So that's a lot,
Mhm.
So 1 megawatt. And the reason why we were well, then let's just start talking 1 megawatt. But the reason why we talk in 600 kilowatt is because that's how the state
That's the
fire
fire
code
code.
is written. So we don't want to say, okay, 1, and then there's this gaping
Small.
hole between 600 and 1 that's not covered. So we just start at 600 because then everything matches. Everything's talking in the same language. If we start saying 600 kilowatt hours, and then we go on from there. So what we started to say was,
I have one quick
regardless of, I'm sorry,
How big an area do you need for 5 megawatts?
so you need at least 1 acre.
Okay.
And that was one of the early things we realized. The minimum lot size would have to be 1 acre in order to have such a thing. However, we looked at how far away would you have to be from this parcel if you had 1 acre. So I'll get into all that, but just from a high level, we talked about eliminating from residential zone. We found out that you could just do a bunch of smaller 5s, and LIPA and their goals and REV and all of the state code. Everybody would be more than happy if we just did a few small ones.
Smaller 5s not in residential.
Exactly. And that would serve a great need. This was not known to us before that. We were always we have to go. Our old code said anything over 600, and we never had that cap. So we didn't understand where the cap belonged. And through this process, we found out that 5 was a number for standalone that we could consider. That the committee thought, okay. But when you get beyond that 5, And the standalone are the kind where they can pull in from the grid, store it, and then, kind of have that back and forth. And they call that arbitrage because you do make money off of that, right? But anything above 5, the committee said, you really have to be tied to a solar project. And it should come to the town board. And it shouldn't go beyond 10. We're talking, or beyond 20, I'm sorry.
Beyond 20.
Beyond 20. Because beyond 20 now, you get bumped out of local home rule and it goes to a state agency called ORES, O-R-E-S, Office of Renewable Energy Siting. And so if you allow above 20, if you said we don't allow it,
I don't want that.
so if you allow above
That's
20,
one of the
it gets taken out of your hands anyway. So if you cap it at 20, then it's not going there.
So just so I'm
there's some
sorry,
local
there's a
control
lot
for
of terminology and
Yes.
technical knowledge here. So 5 megawatts would suffice, correct?
5 is allowed.
Should not
any
go
use.
should not go beyond 20 megawatts.
That's right.
That's what the committee has. So all
Determined.
of this is what we've discussed with the committee
But
and
above
looked at.
5 is tied to a renewable project.
Right,
like a-
above 5 has to be with a
and
solar
to,
project.
And just to give people the just the scope of, say, a solar project and the land you would need to do a 5 megawatt system tied to a solar. Our solar array at the North Sea Transfer Station is just under 5. So that's a very large area that you would need to have the solar. I don't know that there's anywhere in the town that would facilitate a solar project up to 20 megawatts.
Oh, well, only the sand mines, which you see
Yeah.
on these maps as a use for future potential reuse.
But
That
we
use is
also,
going away. Solar would be a natural, in our solar code, which we haven't talked about, we have a solar code that promotes using the already cleared area of a sand mine for solar.
Yeah.
So, because what natural, thing, that's a great use where it's passive, no one sees it, hears it, yet it's got full sun access.
and we did just approve one in the Pine Barrens Commission allowed it.
That's
But
right.
I also wanted to ask you to make it clear that the solar has to be in proportion to the battery storage. You can't just have a few panels and then have a huge battery storage.
That's right.
That's
That's a
absolutely
very
right.
good point.
And we're looking into defining that to the whatever is produced on that renewable energy site could be stored, that it's not to be imported. It's only to be used for the exportation of the energy that's been created, co-located on that parcel.
Right.
Um,
So,
it's an
yeah.
accessory. The battery is an accessory to a renewable energy generator.
Right.
Right, it wouldn't be,
Wouldn't
you've got this,
be larger.
let's say 20 megawatt battery thing and then a couple of, solar panels to make it seem legitimate. No, we're saying it's gotta be the battery storage,
Scale.
solar.
So I just want to make sure I have this understood in my head. So if we have 5 megawatts battery storage, that could just be plugged into the grid.
Right, standalone, the max is 5.
Right. Now, anything above 5, below 20, has to, or up to 20, has to be connected to some sort of array or whatnot.
Right,
Precisely.
and maybe community distributed, generation, CDG, and this would be something with community benefits. This is something that comes to a town
would have
board
oversight,
to have the
community
oversight,
benefits.
so it's not just like, everyone's caught off guard at the planning board and doesn't understand what to do with it. You would have to elect to place it there, and it comes to you, the elected body, the legislative board.
And then anything over 20 is subjected to state.
We don't allow it.
You wouldn't
Good.
allow it, so
Good.
the
Okay.
state couldn't come in and do it if you don't allow
Because you
it.
lose your home rule. but
Do we
you
have
don't
that written into the code, or
We
would-
didn't write the code yet, because we're here to show you all the recommendations and
It's
talk
a
them through and make
recommendation,
sure
yes.
you're
Got
good
it.
with it before we go writing a whole code
one
that you're like,
statement-
we don't want this.
The one statement you made about the battery being not the primary use,
Standalone arbitrage,
to the solar.
accessory to.
Co-located
Accessory use,
hybrid.
yes. In the interim report, it said the battery would be the primary use.
Up to 5. Did we say
No,
that somewhere?
tier 2 and 3.
Oh, that's a problem.
It's,
So
It-
that has, just the wording on that has to,
right. That came from the plan, in terms of the planning board looking at a usage. It needs to have a certain
maybe on
amount
tier
of.
2, but then on tier 3, it has to be like that's the primary use is the entire package, right? The solar and the battery.
Exactly. And we'll make
Yes.
that more clear, so I'm sorry if that
No, that's
doesn't make
okay, I
sense.
just wanted to.
So back to the beginning, we would say that we determined that the minimum lot size has to be 40,000. We determined that there are plenty of LI 40 sites, both east and west of the town, that could accommodate it without the need to go to residential zones. So
You
that
see
was the
those in
big
the yellow.
ask
And
and the
to-
big question.
And to be, this is just completely by chance, there are no sites in Hampton Bays.
I didn't
We
even look at that, but yeah, they don't even show
There's
any
no
sites.
sites in Hampton
No.
Bays that
Lucky.
No,
work,
because
so.
of the
Lucky
density
for
and
us.
the residences are
Yeah.
right there alongside.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that is great. So,
But they are geographically spread out.
Yes.
I would say this though.
Okay,
Say you're a
Eastport.
grocery store in Hampton Bays and you want to put some kind of storage for your use, you can do that still. You just can't have your own standalone battery thing. But if like say you're some kind of supermarket or some kind of commercial use that needs a certain amount of storage, which are small batteries, we are saying you could do that.
But we're
There's
saying
a
that you
fire
would be
code
under
for
the
that.
600 kilowatt hours.
Yeah.
There's a limit.
There's a
Yeah.
limit, and it's associated with your own use. So it's storing electricity for you to. You may charge up the batteries at night, and then draw off them in the day, and that's just as good as having a solar panel. In all honesty, on your roof, like like that works.
So these areas, while Hampton Bays is not identified as having potential locations, East Quogue is.
East Quogue has sand mines.
Eastport is.
The yellow are the LIs, and the orange are the sand
What do you mean
mines.
LIs?
Sand mines and
LI
municipal.
light
LI
industrial.
40.
So,
Well,
okay.
I have to ask you too, though, then, because on this it says the Damascus landfill, former Damascus landfill, is a potential site because it's I'm guessing a municipal yard.
Yes.
But then the Hampton Bays transfer station and the North Sea transfer station are not on here.
Some things, these are potential, and what we've run into is the zonation of residential zones. And
Remember
the
one time I
exclusion of
tried to
those.
fix these like
Yeah.
municipal yards to not be residentially zoned, so you can use them for
What-
different purposes. But if we never went through with that, so they
Well,
would
'cause
be knocked
Damascus-
out because they were zoned residential.
Damascus
They're not
is
zoned
surrounded by residential anyway,
Right.
so
Yeah.
it would probably would.
It wouldn't.
I would say that these are still in draft. We are still going through
Yeah.
iterations of this, and we do feel as we've marched through this that some sites may have been lost and some may have been left on.
Yeah.
Right.
We need to.
Yeah, it's
Pin
not the
down the
perfect
And
match.
so
methodology,
the site highlighted in Bridgehampton, that's just LI 40 zone
yeah,
over
that's
there.
over
That's
by
the
like Lumber
zone.
Lane over
Yes.
there.
Not every parcel in that area would be
But
eligible.
is proximity to residences being considered in that?
100%. So that's the other side of that equation. So the idea then is even when you're in an LI,
Yeah.
you must be property line to property line at least 300 feet from a residential. You
So there
can't
are going-
abut a residential, in other words.
So you're going to recommend standards, even if it's LI 40, but there's close proximity to residential. There's going to be
a setback, a buffer
Okay.
from one property line to the next,
Okay.
and not abutting. So in other words, if you're an LI 40 and you happen to be next to an R 40, that parcel would not be eligible because it's directly abutting.
Because you're saying property line to
Because
property.
yeah, it's property line to property line in our system here that
And
we're
the-
recommending.
And the occupancy, high occupancy parcels next door, not likely, we're not gonna consider that.
Yeah, like if you're
as
next door to a
eligible.
hospital or you're next door, to a
Right.
school, property line to property line, that wouldn't
Right.
work either.
Right. Okay.
Safety was the main concern of the
So
steering
is the
committee's
the
finding.
report going to as you move on? It's a great draft, and you've done amazing work. And I do have some comments about that later on. But as you go through this and you sort of note the identified locations, is there going to be some sort of like expanded description on what you foresee as
Oh,
part
yes,
of the
and that would be
bu-
the code. So if you and your colleagues here on the board agree with what we're recommending here, and,
Right.
and not just us, it's the committee,
Correct.
two of which are on the committee. If you all agree, then we'll draft this for hearing.
Okay.
Obviously to send to you first.
Do you have anything in here for if there's a fire, for like make sure there's street water or?
We certainly have put down that we're going to adopt the interagency fire code task force findings. They put out 16 which have gone through several iterations of public comment. That's from the state level, from Locals Task Force, which does have emergency management plans. It does have, like I say, 16 different recommendations, many of which speak to
bottom of 5.
emergency management plans, monitoring.
We can make a local management plan.
Yes.
We would kind of reference those codes as
Yeah.
they may be amended,
Mhm.
so, but right now they're at the gold standard of basically, they're trying to reach the level of like NYFD, who are the
Because
best.
you don't want to put like in a commercial area where there's no access to street water for fire, where they would have to bring a tanker in.
That is certainly, each one of these proposals that comes before either the planning board or the town board, just depending on its size, would have that as a major consideration.
Yeah.
And it's actually one of the things that was a stumbling block at the beginning when this whole process began, was access to water and how Bess was reliant on water. Now we've been told that it's not as reliant on water because you can't put them out with water. You can only.
And that's where that 300-foot standard, because that was the measured air quality standard that the state did all these tests when they had those facility fires and whatever, and how far away you had to be for the air quality to show no change, no, like if there was something in the air, you would not be affected by it if you were 300 feet away. So that's where that 300 feet came from.
And that seemed like the safest bet, and it did still leave parcels available in the town.
Yeah, we
that was
have enough viable parcels that we found out the fact that you don't have to accommodate necessarily some massive facility if you don't want to. We would still be helping LIPA and still be meeting coastal resiliency goals and still doing renewable, we could still achieve all these things with
And
smaller
what's
facilities.
not on this too is there are transmission yards that are owned by the utility that they can place things on themselves. So that's also not on these maps.
Yeah, the only thing about that, if they have those transmission areas in residential
They can do it, we can't preempt them.
I know, that's what we have to be.
At the substations, that's
We
their.
have to be cautious of that.
Right.
And we went through all these exercises. Poor Seth had to go through the transmission line, the distribution line, how it falls, where it lands, and then we were like, we're totally overcomplicating this. We don't have to know that. We just have to know where we want it and where it makes sense and what the safety standards are, and then the industry will work all that out when they have an interconnection agreement.
And I just want to thank you and Seth and your staff because we decided that you guys were doing this in-house. We didn't go outside, which, it's a ton of work that's especially Seth put into this.
6 months.
And all of the, but the research that we received and the documents, I mean, there's it's not just, the end result is just this report. I mean, Seth did,
Did a lot. We kept a
significant
binder,
analysis.
a lot of
And we
scientific
purposely-
research, a lot
and
of
we
time.
purposely did that because we wanted this to be community and locally driven, not, an outside contractor coming in, because originally we adopted NYSERDA's model code, which seemed great and nobody had any issues with it until fires started occurring, and then it became, well, wait a second, but I wanted this to be, I think we all wanted this to be a process that was more community driven, and we took all of their concerns, because even though maybe we only had the one public actual working group session with them, we had tons of data through all of the hearings and the public sessions that we went through.
We
And
did.
We took into consideration all of those concerns that were
Yep.
raised.
We looked at other communities, what they've done, Southold and Riverhead, and
we've done this pretty quickly.
Washington State,
Yeah,
Michigan.
that's right.
We're still within our time bounds, so
Yeah.
if we can agree on a code and then schedule a hearing and wrap this up by February, you don't need to extend it if
I
something
mean, I feel like we
unforeseen comes up.
absolutely took the time that we needed, but we didn't drag our feet. We didn't,
Yeah.
extend this beyond a reasonable amount
right,
of time.
we had to be thorough.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, that's it.
Well, I want to actually commend my colleagues, Supervisor Moore and Councilwoman McNamara, for taking the lead on this. And I think that what Cindy mentioned in terms specifically of this being in-house is critically important for the future of local government, because we see a lot of government going forward and cutting services, pursuing austerity. We did this in-house. We didn't contract out to a company. I think that was a discussion that we all had, as you mentioned, and we were weighing the pros and cons of this. You did have to work really hard. and we commend you for that. And Janice, your staff especially, you guys always answer the phone. And Seth, you're always around too, and we really appreciate this. This is a great step forward.
Great.
Yes, thank you for doing it.
Sure. If you want any specific, when we develop the code, any specific feedback from someone in the industry, that we can engage with, we can do that, but it just wouldn't have to be, this huge $50,000 contract. We can also still do that if questions come up at the hearing, let's say, and you want some more substantial, review, we can always give a third party to look at this.
And I mean, we
Yeah.
did have
It's
LIPA
still
and
possible.
NYSERDA and
Yeah,
outside
we did do
industries
that.
involved in the process.
Well, we
Yes.
engaged them early on
Mhm.
and kept them involved all the way, and so we've been calling them. We still call them all the time.
And I don't think anybody got everything they wanted, but
No.
this is what we're comfortable with.
And we
Fair
did have,
compromise.
yeah, we
Which
had
really struck a balance.
a good panel with with our chief fire marshal and Ryan from public safety and our chief of police. So it was a lot of good input, and
I attended one of the meetings. I saw them online, but I attended one
Yeah.
in person.
And
It's
we're
very
also open to, as technology changes and, there's safety concerns are met,
Yeah.
potentially you can rework the zoning at that point. But
Right.
right now, with what we have, this is what we're comfortable
Yeah,
And
we
on
can-
that point, the state is not, they're not finished with their final reports yet, that you don't think that's gonna happen until probably
They
the
said
earliest
summer of
2025.
25, yeah.
So
the
then we
Uniform
can-
Fire Code,
Right.
but we would just point to it and say as may be amended.
So
Yeah.
so just a point of clarification on the process. So you'll finalize the report.
The report's good. Well, we'll fix whatever edits we, yeah.
Finalize the report, submit it to the board
Mhm.
for review. We'll adopt the report. Is that how that would work? Or
No, this is
we
just the interim report from the steering committee,
Okay.
and then what you'll do, we'll develop the code,
And we'll adopt
then
the code.
you'll adopt it
Got
if
it.
you,
Have
Yeah.
public hearing on
you'll
it,
have a public hearing.
public hearings,
Yep.
potentially.
and as we said, this is a living document. So as the technology changes and they go from lithium to non-lithium batteries, and different options are available, we can upgrade the code later.
Right.
That's
And
the
it's,
quandary we caught ourselves in to begin with. This has been developing as we're trying to write code, as the state is writing code, as the standards are being promulgated. Things are changing, and it's hard to keep up with this. And we're finally at the point where we're, at least to date, we have solved it till now, and then tomorrow when they create something new,
Mm-hmm.
we'll have to address it once again.
It also sort of aligns with previous boards' policies that still stand, because no one here has changed them, and that is on cell towers, where we've always said several smaller ones are more, desired than one big giant, 400-foot tower. So it's the same idea here. It's sort of always been, even with affordable housing, the mindset is sort of lots of little things here and there, which when you look at it as a whole, kind of cover an area is better than one giant thing that disproportionately burdens any one community.
Exactly.
So that's been the mindset for all along, and this
Yeah.
is still consistent with that same mindset.
And there's locations throughout the town.
Yes, there's
that are
more than there's
available.
all these LI zones, and we've deduced that they would work for the most part in many of the areas, so long as they're not, next to the residential or high impact use or something along those lines.
And limited in size.
Right.
At the end,
Mm-hmm.
not to exceed 20.
So if you're good with that, we'll get busy working on the code, which we have a bit of a draft already, but we wanted to check in before we,
Excellent.
use our time doing that.
Excellent work.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
thank you
Thank
so much.
Thank you.
Great,
Yeah,
thank you.
really.
If you have any questions, you know where to find us.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
We know exactly where it's up behind all this paperwork.
I love that you were able to take all our ideas and keep shifting the maps and, showing us what it is.
I want to just
Pictures
Well,
of what we're
thanks
talking
to
about.
the GIS department.
And
for
Ross.
bearing
Oh,
with
yeah.
me And helping us solve each iteration.
You're dealing with this in real time, things are evolving as
They-
we're
And
working.
they're
They
so
really are.
responsive, and they're always happy to help. So it's really important.
I was just reading this
Yes.
morning in Newsday about Brookhaven, they did a couple of big projects that
Oh.
sort of on the page, I know they were one of the few towns that have and now they're starting to get some major
Pushback.
pushback.
Yeah.
They have
I think
Brookhaven said, give us all the battery
Yeah,
storage.
I maybe not so
Well,
much.
the county
Maybe not
has
so
said
much.
many times that they would like us to talk to these other towns. So now that we're really getting down the road here, and you know, it
Set
would
a
be
model.
helpful to set the model, which we're used to
Yes.
doing.
Yeah.
So thank you for your leadership.
All right, well,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Janice.
Thanks.
Thanks, Seth.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, we're a little ahead of schedule.
Hopefully you can sleep a little better.
I'll get you.
So that brings us to our liaison updates. Who wants to get us started? Cindy, do you have something to
I don't think so.
share? All right, Michael.
Nothing major, just that earlier this week, I joined Legislator Welker at the Hampton Bays American Legion. They were handing out some turkeys and food to veterans who need a Thanksgiving meal. It was really nice to see Long Island Cares partnering up with Community Action Partnership of Suffolk. Both organizations help people facing food insecurity as well as homelessness. So, both organizations are around and available. And now that the holiday season is coming up, I think it's really important that people do take note of those services. Long Island Cares obviously helps out with people facing the need for food. So if you know anybody, veteran or non-veteran, who needs food, 631-613-3344, they could be reached there. And Community Action of Suffolk, if you know of a veteran who needs a place to live during the holidays, needs some shelter, 631-289-2124. And I just want to remind folks that Post 924 of the Hampton Bays American Legion is always willing to reach out and help, 631-728-4340. There's also many other American Legions throughout the town of Southampton that can be reached, so definitely recommend that. I'll also just say that we had a great meeting just the other day with the Dark Skies Committee. The group is working on ways to enhance community awareness of the town's Dark Skies Code. So in everybody's tax bill, there's going to be a little bit of a pamphlet that goes out to everybody to remind them of the code. This is something that they've done in the past, but we haven't done it lately, so it's something that they wanted to pick back up again. And I'll also just state, well, actually, Supervisor, you should probably talk about the $200,000 grant that we received for the solar array from NYSERDA.
Oh, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
Well, we received a $200,000 grant for a solar array from NYSERDA, no match required. And I think that we were like level 4.
Four-star designation.
4-star designation, which is admirable. And thank you to Janice Shear and everybody who helped us get to that place.
Yeah.
I also wanted to mention that we had the USGA come in for the kickoff for the US Open last week, and several of the department heads that will be involved, we all met in the room, and they gave a presentation to all of us, and then they're gonna have separate meetings with each of the department heads to talk about, traffic and transportation and what's gonna be involved. And I know it's still, a year and a half out, but there's a lot of planning, as you all know, that goes into it.
We started planning the last one 2 or 3 years ahead. It was at least 2 years ahead when we started meeting with USGA.
Yeah, they got to build a bridge, build a whole little city over there.
Yep.
And we have scheduled the a public meeting for the community to go over the preliminary design plans for the West Hampton Community Center, and that's December 2nd from 6 to 8, that the village has graciously allowing us to use the village hall. And so we had CRC made up a flyer, and we're going to post it on the website and send it out so people are aware and they can come and give their comments and input. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
I want to thank Colleen downstairs, all the departments who pitched in. And if you notice, we have new pictures up on the wall,
Oh.
different projects we are
Very nice.
doing.
Oh, yeah.
That picture of the West Hampton will be updated as soon as we get new updates on that. I went to Franca last night. It was It's always a very nice group. They're very friendly there. The owners of 1021, the new people were there, the new owners, the partners, and they answered a lot of questions to the Franca and the neighbors, and they seem to come to agreement, and they're very happy about it, and they all want to be good neighbors.
Excellent.
So it worked out very good.
I'm glad you were available to go last
Yes.
night.
Yes, it was a nice meeting there.
Could I just make one more announcement? I'm so
Yes.
sorry. I just want to make mention, and I'll have another moment to mention this, but the Greek Orthodox Church of Southampton, the Dormition, is hosting Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving Day from 12 to 2. They sent out a communication that no one should be alone or hungry on Thanksgiving. So I just want to make mention of if anybody needs somewhere to go for Thanksgiving, they are hosting Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, that's so lovely.
I actually did have two quick brief things. One, Daryl Balmer and I had our first meeting with the Shinnecock Dock Committee, which went really well. We walked around the site with them. They really want to get things cleaned up there and get it looking better. It actually looks way better than it has in previous times, I'm being told, but they know there's room for improvement and they're willing to work with us on that, and they want it to look nice. So, we had a good meeting. We talked about the upgrades to the dock that are happening. Daryl's gonna keep them in, and they'll be our basic line of communication with the boat owners as to what we're doing when we're doing. We have some open slips so we can shuffle people around as needed to get some stuff done. We were discussing, the best times to start that work, but it was a really productive meeting. I felt, Daryl led it well and had a really great agenda, and we got through everything. And then I also did want to mention, as was in the press this week, I want to thank James Cappers and the Hampton Bays Water District and H2M for the $4.7 million grant they received from New York State that'll pay for about 60% of the upgrades that are needed for one of the plants. So kudos to them on an amazing job. They really have, on all these capital upgrades that we've done, they have really gone after grant money, and they have been very successful and saved the taxpayers, the ratepayers, a lot of money. So
Yeah, that was amazing, that much money coming in, and we allocated money last year, or the prior board did, so now there's enough
to do those
to do the
upgrades.
entire project.
Great.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, well, if no one has anything else, then I move to go into executive session to discuss personnel, acquisitions, confidential legal advice, and then close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, everybody.